I want to say two things, and this is on the business level for the people who do come here for a little bit of education and like what's happening in the world. First and foremost, I did tell you that the Live Nation versus the United States Department of Justice lawsuit is happening, and it's kind of to prove that they're a monopoly. Live Nation, which owns Ticketmaster, it's being seen as anti-competitive. If they have certain exclusive contracts with these venues, some venues they own outright. They are a concert promoting or event promoting company, but they own not only a bunch of like, they have stake in like Rolling Loud or whatever the case is, but they own the ticketing facility. They start to like really bully anybody else who could compete with them, and that's why they're seen or they're being allegedly compared to a monopoly. So Live Nation, I just want to give you a little update on what has came out. And some of the stuff is kind of disturbing. I'm not going to lie to you. Hopefully we could read this article. Can I read this article? No, they want me to pay, right? They don't let me read it without paying. Well, we could just read on New York Times if they'll let me read it. Okay, they want me to pay too. Okay, nobody wants me to read it. Well, the Verge want me to pay, right? They're gangster. Fuck with them. Okay, so there's a few things, and I'm going to simplify it here. Essentially, remember, so this Live Nation Ticketmaster monopoly trial, there's some witnesses who took the stand on Wednesday, and one of them was a chief revenue officer for the Minnesota Wild hockey team. They said that they considered switching their venue's ticketing platform from Ticketmaster. Now, remember what I just told y'all. I just greenlit my birthday show. If you guys are in New York, tickets are going on sale. I think I hit my assistant about it today. I want to do a pre-sale for my subs. So if you guys are subs, you guys will have like a couple days. You could go fucking buy the tickets, and then we'll put them on general sale. But before, I was talking to them. Obviously, last year went good. They said, do you want to do next year as well? I said, yeah, I do want to do the venue next year again. So we locked in the contract early on. Around this time, because in the Miami venue I'm doing, I'm selling tickets myself, right? Like, so I'm using Eventbrite. So I said, you know what? Can I use my own ticketing platform? Because I like seeing the back end, and, it'll help me figure out where my audience actually really is. They're like, no. I said, why not? They said, we're Live Nation venue. And when we're a Live Nation venue, we only use Ticketmaster. But I'm like, what if we don't want to use Ticketmaster? Now, here's the thing. They force me and everybody else to use Ticketmaster. Why? Ticketmaster charges these fees and whatever. Basically, all the money from the whole process, like they're worse than record labels. The whole process of doing a show, all the money goes to the fucking, to Live Nation. They own the parking, concessions. They own ticketing, right? So they get fees when you buy tickets. So like, even, I remember for like, I think we might have did it this time around. So when we were coming up with pricing, I'm like, I'm not trying to charge my audience an arm and a leg. Like, bro, I'm not like fucking Drake. Like, bro, get them $35 if they want a general admission ticket. Of course, some people could go up higher, but I'm like, no, it's $35, right? Like, I think they said that's like the cheapest I could charge. Like, they were telling me how much I could fucking charge, right? And I'm like, I'm paying myself, or I'm actually not taking any money. I'm just reinvesting it. Why, if I want to sell tickets for $10, why can't I sell it? If I pay for the venue. They're like, oh, no, it's like, Live Nation. Like, basically, they're saying I can't charge too low because it will fuck up their business of having other shows when they see a show at that venue for $10. So I said, so I can't just charge little to nothing. They're like, no, that's the lowest you could go. So I said, fine, I'll do $35, whatever. Cool. I say I'll do that amount. You know what the next thing they fucking tell me? They're like, yo, well, so it's not really going to be $35. I said, what do you mean? Well, we got like a $7 fee. That's the Ticketmaster fee. I'm like, what? I'm like, yeah, bro, the people who watch me, it's not like they're not rich, but they're not trying to fucking pay mad money. So what I told them is like, I think last year we did it. I said, we'll absorb the fee. So every ticket minus $7. Like, I just took the fee on it. But that's how greedy they fucking are, bro. Like, honestly, like, again, I'm working with them. I'm going to, you can't go around them. I told you what they did a little baby do to Drake. You can't go around them. But are they a monopoly? Like, fuck yes, my nigga. What the fuck? So anyway, Chief Revenue Officer, this is for like a hockey team. They said they wanted to use a different ticketing system, right? Shit, they told me no like 4 days ago. So of course they're going to tell these motherfuckers no. They threatened them with the loss of the vital Live Nation promoted concerts. So that's what they tell you. It's like, no, you got to use our ticketing system because we're going to promote you. Okay. It's the behavior the Justice Department of 40 states and district attorney generals say is a monopolist, okay? They identified voices on call to a grand jury that a nervous guy was in the angry guy. Okay, so they played a call. And they say they try to thread a delicate needle, rejecting the Ticketmaster services while they were trying to hold the parent company, Live Nation, to a separate contract promised to fill Barclays with concerts. At one point, Rapinoe dropped the F-bomb while discussing his frustration over a contract dispute. He told them that he believed they weren't planning to renew with Ticketmaster in the first place. So, okay. So they reminded them about the new UBS Arena, which could draw more Live Nation shows away from Barclays. Though Ticketmaster theoretically operates separately from Live Nation, they took as not so veiled as a threat to cut it. Okay, all right. So essentially, this has been a thing. If you work with Live Nation and you're doing an event at a event space they either own or they have a contract for exclusivity within those dates that you want, they're going to force you to use their ticketing system. Now, they might give you the excuse like, oh, we're going to promote you, but basically they want to make sure they're getting extra money. Now, also, here's the thing, too. When you own the concert promotion and the ticketing system, it's already kind of like monopolistic because you have all the data. Because the ticketing people would have the data, and then the promotion people would need the data. When you own everything, you have everything. And this is why, when people say like, oh, I don't know, anybody's tour that's Live Nation funded is going to flop, I'm like, they control the entire market. If they want someone not to flop, they can just rig it. Okay. They were trying to use SeatGeek, and a Ticketmaster executive told them that Live Nation could move all their shows to Target Center if they were switching ticket vendors. So basically, this team or whatever organization was saying, hey, we don't want to use Ticketmaster, and Ticketmaster says to them, we're owned by Live Nation, and if you don't use us, Live Nation is probably going to move their other events away from the building that you own. So it's like this weird thing, which is, if you ask me, the definition of what monopoly is. To ease the risk, SeatGeek offered what they call a Live Nation retaliation insurance. So SeatGeek wants to compete, but SeatGeek is only in the secondary market, meaning Live Nation has to completely sell out, and then they'll also buy some Live Nation tickets, and they'll resell it on a secondary market with SeatGeek. It's a promise to compensate the arena for concerts booked. Okay. SeatGeek offered the arena a higher blah, blah. Ticketmaster, but the retaliation insurance could make up for the loss of the vibrance of the venue. Okay, cool. So essentially, I'm not going to lie, man. It's the info is coming out in court. We're going to see how it comes. It manifests over the 6-week program of, does the jury believe this is completely monopolistic, right? Remember, you're Live Nation, but you force people to use your ticketing thing, to use this, to use that. It creates an anti-competitive market for other people, right? Okay. The other thing I did want to mention on the business front, and by the way, again, this is just a quick update. I don't want to do a whole drag through thing on it. Here we go. Okay. This is going to be interesting. So Warner Music Group, okay? Warner Music Group has actually released a letter to their shareholders. And in this letter, they have said a few things. Very important, though. Says their shareholders were a few months into 2026 and our foundation is strong as ever. We're seeing new growth vectors emerge constantly. Now remember, this letter is from the board trying to encourage shareholders that if you own shares of Warner Music Group, you're going to make more money. Your investment will grow. So they started talking about some stuff with 27% of U.S. streaming consumption coming from new releases versus 45% 10 years ago. By the way, that's very interesting. You hear what it says. So last year, or 2 years ago, 27% of U.S. streaming consumption came from new music. 10 years ago, which would be, let's say, 2014 or 2015, 45% of the money came from new music. So what have I been telling y'all? The reason music seems dead is that they're not invested in new music because they're using the catalog and making money off the catalog. So if the old music is making money, remember, money's money, right? It's all new money at the end of the day. The music might be new or old, but it's all money. So 10 years ago, 45% of new music made the most of the money. These days, it's only 27%. So new music is making less money. Music companies no longer rely heavily. Chat, this is everything I've been preaching. They said they have reduced by half. How much? It says with 27% of U.S. streaming consumption in 2024 coming from new releases versus 45% 10 years ago. Music companies no longer rely heavily on the success of new releases. Today, music is a far more attractive category to invest in than film and TV. What are they trying to say? Hey, we're stable. It's not about if we get a new Drake album, if we get a new this, a new whoever album. We are banking on our catalog, not our new music. Okay? Today, music is a far more attractive category. Okay. Through the existence of, music, on the other hand, never will have a demand problem. Global, okay, cool. So, now, here's the thing that's like the interesting part of it. Okay, Gregory. I want you guys to all note here, and this is a really interesting thing. It's going to forecast a lot for y'all. It says subscription has been a successful business for music, successful business model. The recorded music industry is about 35% above 1999 peak. This is mainly driven by the fact that more are paying for music, but on average, they're paying less per person. Okay? Now, I want to explain what that means. So essentially, they said in 1999, people were buying the most CDs ever. However, now they make more money off of music than 1999. Why? Because they have more customers, okay? More customers that are paying for music, but they're paying less money than they paid in 1999. Why? Because if you were to buy, I don't know, let's think about Blockbuster or Netflix. Netflix subscription, $20, you can watch 18 movies if you want to. If you were going to rent 18 movies or buy 18 movies, you would be spending hundreds of bucks, right? So subscription model makes people spend less. Let's keep reading. DSPs only began to increase prices in 2022 after a more than a decade of static or stasis. And the price increases by DSPs in recent years have not shown any evidence in spike in churn. Okay, what does that mean? When they increase price, people don't leave. So really, streaming is so much a part of people's lives. The people who are there are gonna stay there. So the average American spends $14 on recorded music between streaming, subscription, and purchases last year, according to Goldman Sachs. A sliver of the $69 per month they used to spend on, So compared to $69 they spend on video demand streaming subscriptions, which means there's clearly more share of the wallet for music. I hope you're hearing it. This is really important shit they're saying. The music business is saying, when it comes to y'all paying for Discovery, y'all paying for YouTube Premium, y'all paying for Netflix, Hulu. Does Peacock require a subscription? I don't know. So y'all are paying on average, the average American is paying $70 for video on-demand subscriptions, but they're only paying $14 for music. The music industry is trying to compare itself with the movie and film and TV industry. So they're saying if they're paying $14 for recorded music, but they're paying $69 for video subscriptions, we could keep raising the price. So that's essentially what they're thinking. Let's keep raising the price then. Let's keep raising the price. In markets like China, we've seen encouraging signs of sustained subscriber growth despite price bumps. So they're saying we want Spotify and Apple to keep bumping the price up. Tencent Music, for example, added about 16 net new subscribers on average in both 2023 and 2024, in line with growth the previous 3 years. Their revenue per user grew 16% in 2023 and 8% in 2024. Okay, so essentially, this is a memo from Warner Music Group. They own Atlantic, and they're saying people on average are spending a lot more money on movies than they're spending on music. We're cheap. Let's up the price. So you're going to start seeing a lot of pressure from the music industry to up the price. Okay? They're going to up the price. Here's, I think we've been there. We read that. Okay, cool. All right. Cool. Just a little bit business update that you guys could have and, figure out what's going on if you so care. Okay. All right. Give me one second. So, all right. Let's go to some bullshit. There's some bullshit abreast. We